Om Gajananam Bhutaganaatisevitam Kapittajambhupalasaarapakshitam Umasutam Soka Vinashakaranam Namami Vigneshwara Pada Pankajam. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sadashiva Samarambam Sankaracharya Madhyamam Asmat Acharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Namaste to everybody. Welcome to session 5 of the Vidura Neeti series, which we started last month, and then we are continuing with this great wisdom provided by Vidura. As you all know, we usually review the previous session, which I will be doing now, the session 4, for those who have missed it, and also for reconnecting with what we talked about in our last session 4. Let's see what we did. Quick review of session 4, in which we learned from Vidura what really makes people happy. And knowing about people is a very important thing. In knowing the type of people, Vidura classifies them into 3 different types: Uttamaha, Madhyamaha, and Adamaha. So we need to know in which category the people fall in, and in doing so, we identify who is a true friend, and also who is not a friend. So that is also important. So you should know who is a true friend and who is not a friend. So these were the 5 topics that we covered in our last session number 4. So let's see what we want to do for this session number 5. We're going to talk about people and power. What is the connection between the two? Log or Shakti. Everybody wants to be powerful. So the first question is, what is power? Shakti kya hai? Now this is a very important point that we need to see. It is defined. Power comes from the Latin word called potere, which means to be able to. So power is something by which you are able to do things that you want to, and you can get somebody else also to do what you want. So when somebody is powerful, it means that able to exert some force or pressure or influence, whatever you call it, for some activities. So you have the expression called the powers that be, referring to those who have the authority, like government official or some wealthy businessman. So that is a kind of power. But the power can mean many things, like takat, shaktisali. You know, the picture here shows the hands like this. I am powerful, which is really showing the physical strength, muscle power. And it can also mean position of a person, high government official, ministers, presidents, and so on. It can also mean wealth. Somebody having a lot of money, a rich businessman. It can also refer to your lineage or the birth. If you're born in, say, a royal family, you're a prince, or you belong to a family which has influenced the political scenario in a country for many years, decades, and you happen to be one member of the family tree, that is also power, which is thrust on you really. Education, there are people who are very intelligent, professors, scientists, who also hold power. Intelligent people, doctors, lawyers, and so on, they also have certain power. And even electricity, it's called power because it is able to do many things. So शक्ति का अर्थ कई चीज हो सकता है, जैसे शारीरिक शक्ति, धन, दौलत, स्थिति, जन्म, शिक्षा, बुद्धि, और यहाँ तक भी बिजली भी शक्ति बोल जाते हैं. The second question is how to get power. What is the role that gives us that power? How to get it? शक्ति कैसे मिल सकती है? कई लोगों को लगता है कि शक्ति सरासर भाग्य है या कुछ बाहर से आती है. So there are different concepts of how one gets power, whether it is something internal or it is something outside. And there are different kinds of beliefs that power is granted by someone senior to a junior, that it is coming from outside. But there are a lot of people who believe it is also within your side, inside. They maintain that the power is the ability of each individual to cultivate it from within. But today's situation is that if you want to be powerful, you have to update yourself on many things, not just one or two. You need to develop skills by which you acquire certain powers. Especially now in this pandemic, people have to be conversant with online speaking, just as I am speaking to you over the video and spreading it, how to operate a computer, how to know the different messages which are coming in from around the world. So the online education and fast communication system is a technology which is developed recently, and we must be able to use that. That is updating your skills. So that is also a way of acquiring your power, so people get recognition. So let's see what Vidura tells us about the different kinds of power and whether it comes from outside or inside. What is the role of mind in power, and how to become powerful and how to really maintain it. So that is what we are going to see today. So I would say that we will go to the next slide. Before that, I just want to say a word in Hindi. आइए देखिए विदुर शक्ति के बारे में मैं क्या कहते हैं, इसे कैसे प्राप्त करें और कैसे नियंत्रित करें. आइए देखिए विदुर जी क्या करते हैं. Moving on to the next slide, we are going to talk about the kinds of power, Shakti ke roop. Vidurji, he talks about 5 different kinds of power. And I will recite the slogan and then give you the meaning. Balam Panchavidam You understand that easily. Balam panchavidam nityam purushanam nibodhame. Simple Sanskrit which you can follow. I'll explain to you the meaning also. Yattu bahubalam nama kanishtam balam uchyate. Very beautiful verse. Balam panchavidam means there are 5 different kinds of power. Nityam purushanam nibodhame, known to mankind. Yattu bahubalam. Bahu means the arms. In fact, there was a movie called Bahubali, right? Who had to face many challenges to assert his strength. Yattu bahubalam nama, that which is called the physical strength. Kanishtam balam uchyate, which is, Kanishta means young, the youngest. It is considered to be ranking as the lowest in the series of these 5 powers. Not number 1, but last one. Kanishtam balam uchyate. It is important. You have to keep good health and maintain your body power. Physical strength is important by doing exercises, by doing yoga, whatever. But that is not number 1. It is actually ranking number 5. Then what is superior to that? We are going to see that as we go into the next slokam. इस श्लोक के मुताबिक 5 अलग अलग प्रकार की शक्ति हुई. इन शारीरिक शक्ति को सबसे निचले स्थान कनिष्ठ पर रखा गया है. Not the number 1, but number 5. Let's see what Viduraji is saying about the other kinds of power. He's talking about counsel and wealth. Salah or dhan. I will read out the verse. Amatyalabo badram te dvitiyam balamuchyate tritiyam dhanalabam tu balamahurmanishinaha. Amatyalabo badram te dvitiyam balamuchyate. He is coming to the first one little later, but he is now talking about which is ranking number 2. Dvitiyam balamuchyate, the number 2 strength or power comes from acquiring good counselors, good ministers, good advisors. So you can have friends, but not many people give you the right advice. You can have a minister, but not every minister gives the right advice. You can have a lawyer, but not every lawyer gives you the right advice. So power comes from having good counselors. There are many people struggling to advise you. And some of them give you free advice also, but not everybody gives you the right advice. So getting good counselors who give you the good advice, that is considered as the second kind. Balam uchyate, that is said to be as the second kind of power. Number 2. Tritiyam dhanalabam tu. The number 3 is the wealth. The wealth is important, but not the most important. This was one of the advice given to me by my professor when I left engineering college. I asked him, please give me a one-line advice. He says, money is important, but not the most important. So you should have money, but that is not number 1. The power of wealth is considered as number 3. Why you take America, for instance, it is very rich, one of the richest countries in the world. But still, are people happy? Is it considered that everybody has a lot of power, even though they may be millionaires? See the kind of infighting that goes on in spite of being powerful. So the power of wealth is not certainly number 1. It is considered here as number 3. अर्थ है इंसान के लिए दूसरी व तीसरी हम ताकत राज बल या सलाह व धन बल होते हैं. You see, money is ranked as number 3. This is something which is maybe disputed by some people. I asked a rich man, "Do you feel powerful?" He says, "I don't feel." Then why are you having so much money? So that I can be miserable in comfort. So that is the kind of, you can have a lot of money and still be miserable, not really the most powerful. You can be sick, you may find that the money is not really being considered as one of the greatest powers on earth. So this is number 2 advice that he is giving, that the power, number 2 is getting good counsel, number 3 is wealth. Okay, going further, let's see what he has to see about the Vamshavali, or the power of lineage. Yatvasya sagajan rajan pitrupaitamaham balam abhijata balam nama tachaturtam balam smritam. Smritam is considered or regarded. Pitru Paitamaham. Pitru means father. Pitamaha means grandfather. That means your ancestors. So some people derive power by virtue of having a father who was a great person and a grandfather who was even a greater person. Like you have many of these instances around the world. You see, in India, we had Motilal Nehru ji, then after that Jawaharlal Nehru, and after that Indira Gandhi, and after that Rajiv Gandhi. And you have a lineage from child which also gives them power. Even in America, you had the George Bush and his father. So you have many such places where even business people who take Birlas, for example, or Tatas, for example, one founding father was there, and then his son also acquired many skills from his father, established his own industry, built up his own business. There are many such family-owned businesses around the world. And these family-owned businesses, the strength comes, or the power comes from somebody who was higher up in the hierarchy or the family tree, as you see. And then it descends down. So the power of privilege is acquired by birth, by Vamsham. And that is regarded as the 4th one. That's what Viduraji says. And that is true also. Because we see it, that people have power by virtue of descendancy. In earlier days, when kings were ruling, the king's son used to be the one who will acquire the kingdom after the king passed away, and then so on. It used to be passed on to his son and so on. So the Vamshavali plays a part in acquiring power. जन्म से प्राप्त विशेष अधिकार की शक्ति को चौथा माना जाता है. So that is something which we see, the Kudumba Bala, as they call it. So चरित्र में तो ऐसे बहुत लोग पावरफुल बना गया है, इसीलिए तो वंश में पावर है वो उसको चौथा होता है. So going further, then what is the next one? The one which we left out is number 1. And what is the number 1? Intellect or buddhi, as they call it. Yena tvetani sarvani sangrihitani bharata yad balanam balam sreshta tat prajna balamuchyate yena tvetani sarvani. So whatever we said before, those 4 powers which we saw, From all those are achieved by what? The foremost kind of power. Yet balanam balam sreshta. This is the best among the other powers which are acquired by this particular driving power. Tat prajna balam uchyate. That is called the power of the intellect, which is called buddhi. So there is a difference between buddhi and mind, which we'll come to later. Buddhi is intellect, which you acquire by education, by your developing the skills and application of the mind to various issues. So that by which all the other four powers are achieved. And the foremost of all kinds of power is called the power of the intellect or buddhi. So महात्मा विदुर की बताई इस बात का मतलब है कि इन सभी शक्तियों को पाने के लिए बुद्धि बल बेहद जरूरी है. And that is evident. You can see it in a number of places. You can be the son of a king, but may not really qualify to become a king. You may be the son of a big political leader, but still you may not qualify to be a leader because you lack what is called intellect or buddhi. So these also we have many examples of people who are trying to make use of the legacy of their forefathers, but still unable to demonstrate that intellect. So going further, what is ultimately the most powerful, which also controls intellect, is the mind, the power of mind, man ki shakti. The word man, Sanskrit word, or manas, is the one which leads us to manushya, which means human being, manfolk. Manas. Even the word mantra, which is now recognized as even an English word used in the context of management mantras, which are believed to solve many issues. It really arises from manana trayate iti mantraha. Manana trayate iti mantraha. Mana is mind. Trayate is what? Tra is the verb to protect. Paritranaya sadhunam vinayasaya duskritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge, says in Vishnu Sahasranam, right? So that which protects you by repetition in your mind, making you strong, that is called mantra. So here it is a two-line verse. The first line is a complicated one. It is on one single line, but it has to be split because it is a complicated sandhi in Sanskrit. So I will split it up for you so you can understand the meaning much better. Atman Atmanam Anvichen Mano Buddhindrayar Yatehi. Atman Atmanam Anvichen Mano Buddhindrayar Yatehi. Atmaiva Hyatmano Bandhur Atmaiva Ripuratmanaha. It's a beautiful language which plays about the words in such a nice way. You can put the verb anywhere, in the front or at the back, giving you so much of flexibility. And many of the words have multiple meanings too. So here, what it says is, you have to know yourself. How do you know it? You can think. The mind makes you think, deep reflection. In some offices, you have this word think put in block letters because you have to apply your mind to problems. And only by deep reflection that you seek to know yourself. What is your strength? What is your weakness? It also makes you think what is the strength and what is the weakness of an enemy or a friend. And then you have to see whether you can make that mind your friend, to make it work for you. So, because the mind is your own friend, bandhur. Atmaiva, bandhu means one who is, the word bond comes from bandhu, to get together. There's a bond. So your mind should be your own bond, your own friend. And it is also Ripuratmanaha. It is also your own enemy. If you don't make friends with your mind, it becomes your enemy. So you have to work on controlling your mind by means of deep reflection, because your mind is your friend and it also is your enemy. Now, I told you there is a difference between mind and intellect, mind and buddhi. Intellect is knowledge here, which you apply. But mind is like a driver. You have those five senses, you know, that is coming under the control part of it in the next slide. You are the driver, you have to control them. Let's say there is a person who is diabetic and he really wants to eat laddus, which the intellect says, no, don't eat it, because the intellect knows it is bad for you. It will be adding a lot of sugar and it is causing trouble to your health. But the mind, because it is not able to control the sense, oh, it doesn't matter. What if I take 2-3 laddus? It's okay. I'm not eating it every day. So it yields to the temptation and you just gobble a couple of laddus. It happens every time there is some kind of temptation. Well, I want to make more money. Because I look at somebody else and he makes so much money, why can't I do it? So the mind says, all right, let me do some activity which brings me instant money. Juggle up the accounts, maybe cheat, whatever. There are many means of making money, isn't it? So one can make money that way. Even though intellect wants you, look, tomorrow you will get caught, you are going to be in trouble. The mind says, it doesn't matter. At that time, I will manage somehow. So there is that conflict between mind and intellect, even though intellect itself is a power, provided it is used in the right way. And the mind is like the driver. It is the one which is controlling. But if it loses the grip, then the mind goes astray. That's why people will be mad, right? Madness is connected with mind, not with intellect. आत्मा की आत्मा का मित्र है और आत्मा मनुष्य स्वयं की आत्मा का अपना शत्रु भी है. इसीलिए संसार सागर में डूबे पड़े हुए अपने आप को उस संसार समुद्र से आत्मबल के द्वारा ऊंचा उठा लेना चाहिए. ये है मन की शक्ति. Let's go further to the next one. How to control this mind which is not steady? But man is so super intelligent that he is able to control animals, wild animals. See the elephant, such a big one. It is at least 100 times bigger than a normal human being. But the elephant obeys a man. So man has the intellect to control an elephant. He can control a lion. You see the circus, how the lion obeys like a tiny animal, it obeys whatever the lion trainer says. It says open the mouth, it opens, close means close, run around means run around. So man has tamed the wildest of animals, but he's not able to tame himself. That's a different story. So mind has the power, but it's up to a person to see whether he can control himself. Panchendriyasya vartyasya chitram chedagavindriyam tatosya sravati prajna dritehe patradivodakam. Panchendriyam. What are those five senses? No, there are two sets of five senses. One is called karmendriyam. The other one is called jnanendriyam. Jnanendriyam is that the God-given gifts of five of our organs. Like the eyes, we are able to see the function of the eye. The skin, which gives you the sensation. If you touch a fire, it's hot. If you touch ice, it is cold. That sensation is given by your skin. So likewise, you have ears which make you hear different kinds of sound, music, at the same time, noise. The nose makes you smell, like a fragrant smell from flowers, food smell, and it also stinks. It's able to smell and differentiate. And the tongue, which has dual function of tasting food, tasting drinks, at the same time also talk, good and bad both. So these are panchendriyam, what are called jnanendriyam. They're senses, which are actually related to the panchabhutam, as we call it. The sound is related to akasha, the five elements. Then you have the touch given by vayu, agni, it's a light vision, and you have the rasa, which is given by the water, and lastly, the smell, which is given by gandha. These are panchabhutas, which are there. So they have these five senses related to the panchabhutas. You have other set of five senses which are all karmendriyam, which are basically your bodily functions, like your hands, you work with it. Karma itself means working. Hands, the legs, then the mouth, and then the genitals and the rectum. These are five karmendriyams. So these five important jnanendriyams, if you leave them uncontrolled, then what happens? The wisdom slips away from you. How? Here, Vidura is giving an example, like water leaks through a hole at the bottom of a container. Patra divodakam. Udakam is water, patram is a container. In fact, the Tamil word patram is also means vessel. It's a Sanskrit word. अगर आदमी में पांच इंद्रियों में से एक अनियंत्र है, तो ज्ञान वहां से खिसक जाता है. It slips away. जैसे पात्र के नीचे के एक छोटे से छेद से पानी लीक हो जाता है. Likewise, wisdom slips away from you if even one of the senses is not controlled. So that is why mind control becomes a very, very important thing. Now it is done by various means. People get trained in it. There are schools which tell you how to do that. There are yoga, and there are meditation courses. There are disciplinary courses in different institutions where your mind is kept under control and you are able to think nice things and not allow it to stray away. The more you listen to the great people, people of wisdom, the yogis, the acharyas, like Shankaracharya, you get to know more things and your mind becomes steady and you gradually bring it under control. Just as you train an animal, the human mind also gets trained and becomes a tame animal. That is the best. Because once you have mind control, your intellect is also under control. And the intellect is number one of the 5 powers. So that is the message that Viduraji is giving you on how people and power are related. So you need to have all the 5 powers, but the most superior power is in your mind. Then the mind drive the intellect, and intellect is able to gather the other 4 powers. Maybe not Vamshavali, but you can definitely have a good life, a happy life, by getting those powers which are needed for happy living. So with that, we are going to conclude today's session. And I want to thank you all for listening so patiently. Those who haven't listened to the earlier ones, please do. They are all available, freely accessible on the YouTube. I have more than 120 videos uploaded in YouTube. You can see them, but if you don't know where to look for, just visit the website easyhinduism.com for a list of all videos and updates under lessons, the menu. Then you can see the videos that are already there. And your comments are always welcome, because it helps me to improve the presentations in future, maybe even identify new topics to share with you. So your comments and suggestions are most welcome anytime. If you like them, you tell others, you subscribe to my videos. If you don't like them, tell me why you don't like them. So I will make some amendments in the future presentations. So thank you very much, and namaste right now.